Infinity War, tapping into the Infinity War hype.
Coming soon on Twitter. Coming 2018.
Hello and welcome to episode 218 of Heroes of Handheld, the world's premium podcast dedicated to everything handheld gaming. We talk about everything Nintendo Switch, 3DS, mobile, that's iOS and Android, and every now and then we like to dabble into the world of PlayStation Vita, God rest its soul. I'm Colin, I'm one of your hosts, and I'm joined by the man with the plan. He's in the Big Apple, or whatever they call London, the Big L. They don't call it the Big L, do they? It's Chris Pearson.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going well. It's going very well. It's lovely and warm here. I think the storms are brewing, and you've been telling me that you're wearing a big old shirt because it's freezing cold in the capital.
It's not freezing cold, but it's certainly not warm.
That's weird. Like, it's about 22 degrees down here on the south coast. And for us, that's like, oh my God, fantastic weather. Let's whip out the shorts. But I was looking at the temperatures for Cyprus for a random reason the other day. And like 22 is their lowest temperature and their highest temperature is 38 degrees.
Are you going to Cyprus?
No, but someone who I work with actually has gone to Cyprus, and it's never a place I'd really thought of as a holiday destination. But I've been looking into it because apparently you can get flights from our local airport, so that's cool. So very keen on that. But Chris, are you excited by the news that came out today?
Yeah, we've got some big stuff to talk about.
No one cares about that because the big news is that Galaxy's Edge, the new Star Wars land coming to Walt Disney World, is going to be unveiled in fall 2019.
Yes. Wrong channel, mate. Put that on your other channel.
Oh yeah, Road to Disney. Search me up, guys. Colin and Show in the Road to Disney. But no, I think it's interesting. Some people who like gaming will be interested that the Star Wars land called Galaxy's Edge at Walt Disney World is opening in fall 2019. A bit later than what they originally said. Originally, it was around the summertime, so they're thinking around October time. But the other version that's coming to Disneyland California will be open in the spring or summer of 2019. So they're getting it a bit sooner.
What's your taking back to video games?
Yeah,
and because you are a very big Disney fan, what's your expectations for Kingdom Hearts? Are you interested in this or not really?
I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game.
Really?
No, never. I don't get it. It's weird. Like
on Xbox.
Probably, I don't know. Isn't it like that game where they have all the Disney characters and they're fighting?
Yeah, this is what I don't understand. It's Final Fantasy and Disney characters. So you play as and made up characters as well. In the first game, you go to like Tarzan, and you go to Hercules World and like Little Mermaid, and then the most recent one they've announced, I think Frozen and Toy Story. I think maybe Monsters Inc. as well, plus like Disney things.
But what do they do? Do they fight? Is it a story?
There is a story, but I don't really I've got friends who are super into it. I don't really understand the story. But it's kind of like an RPG, like an action RPG. But I'm just surprised you're not into it because it's a bit of you.
I know of it. I'm aware of it, but I choose not to delve into it. It's one of those things where
playthroughs on Disney, people have lapped that shit up.
Yeah, definitely. Once all my backlog of vlogs have been uploaded, because that's what people really want. It's the vlogs. That's what they come for. That's what they stay for and they pay for. Right. So let's talk about gaming. Chris, what have you been playing this week?
I can't talk about this game enough because I have a friend called Rob, who who's been on this podcast before, actually, years ago. And every time, Rob doesn't live in the UK anymore, and every time he comes back to London, we play the same game on Nintendo Switch, and that game is called Crawl. Now, what do I have to do to sell you people on Crawl, which is the perfect multiplayer party horror action game? It's top down. One person plays as the hero, and then up to 3 players or CPU plays the monsters, and you descend further and further into the dungeon, and whoever is playing as the monster and kills the hero gets to switch into the hero's body, and then it's their turn to try and level up the hero. Once you get to level 10, you can have a go at doing the big boss. Now, I realize I've talked about this game before, maybe 2 months ago, something like that, but it's just so good. And every time I play it, I'm like, this has got such amazing potential for, it's an indie game. I really hope that the developers end up making something kind of a similar ilk, or maybe get picked up by like a bigger publisher or something, because it's just such a great idea, and the gameplay is incredible. And I'll tell you how the gameplay is so good. I reckon I've put maybe 4 or 5 hours in, and this weekend was the first time I actually managed to win a game. Every other time I've lost or someone else has won. This is the first time I've won. And that tells you how good this game is, because normally if I'm not winning a game at this point, I'd have quit out. It's so good.
So are you and Rob playing side by side? Are you against each other?
You play it's local multiplayer, and yeah, you're against each other. And it's one of those ones where you know how like certain games like a Halo or a Smash are very very skill based, and then there are certain games where you win or you can cause a lot of damage by like being quite cheap with the tactics and being quite spammy. So to give you a little bit of the lowdown, right? One person is the hero, and then the other 3 players, these kind of ghost characters that can possess monsters or can possess traps, or crucially can drop like slimes. If they collect enough kind of ambient pickup, then they can drop a slime. The hero can only leave a room once all the monsters in it are dead. So the hero can leave the room at the point where the 3 ghosts are still around, but they're not in possession of any monsters. And what is incredible about this game is how some rooms will look really challenging, and you'll go in there as the hero and it will actually be really straightforward and really simple. And other rooms, the layout of them, and because it's randomly generated, the layout of these rooms can mean that people get really scuppered, because as long as one of the bad guys is dropping a slime, it means the hero can't leave until they kill the slime. So if you can get a slime in there, and then the other people can take over playing as the traps, you can really wind up your opponent. And this is my favorite thing about it, is because if I know, like, if it's an actual person, if it's a player, like a friend who's playing a hero, I know I'm going to wind them up by dropping a slime so they can't leave until they kill it, and then taking possession of a trap and just spamming. And it's so like, it's so cheap, but everyone does it. So it's part of the game, and it's really fun. And it's just genuinely incredible. I can't wait till when we're next together, Colin. We're definitely going to play this game because it is ridiculous. It's such good fun.
It does sound fun. It sounds one of those games that's really addictive, that you just keep on playing and playing and playing over and over again.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember talking about this when it first came out. So is it last August it was released?
It might have been. I know I first played it, I think probably back in March, I want to say. But it's yeah, it's a really great game. It's on Switch and it's fairly cheap, and it's so worth it. It's so good.
Yeah, it does sound fun being the boss and causing all that grief.
Yeah, exactly. And like just winding people up, it's so good for that. So yeah, that's what I've mainly been playing. What about you?
I've been continuing to delve into the world of Skyrim, and oh boy, I'm just loving it more and more. Absolutely addicted to it. As I explained last week, being able to play it on the go, like playing it on the telly and taking it with me to the toilet and to bed, is just unbelievable. It's so great. I'm at the point now where I just want to. I don't feel there's so many side quests that I've got loaded up on my game now, but I don't feel overwhelmed by them all. I'm just excited to explore each one and see where it takes me, and I'm happy and just fascinated by exploring the world and seeing what I find. Currently, I think I'm making my way through the magic guild. I know there's different guilds. I think it's the magic one I'm doing that story at the moment. I'm currently searching a cave for some stolen books, but I have learned that I really hate the tarantulas or frost venom spiders, whatever they're called.
Yeah,
they are really annoying and they kill you so quick, and it's bloody annoying. I learned the art of the quick save the other day. Oh boy, that is something I wasn't aware of when I first started, because you just assume that it would auto save at certain points, but the auto save feature is very, I think, quite clunky in Skyrim, where sometimes it will auto save when you open the menu, sometimes it won't. But I've learned if you're going great distances it's very important that you quick save just in case you come across something like a giant or a mammoth or something that starts attacking you. You really want to make sure you're not going to be going too far back, because there's nothing more frustrating than when you try the long hard battle and you just miss out and you end up like having to go back like half an hour to where you started. But I did actually buy a horse maybe last week. I bought a horse and I rode it to this castle where it had been taken over by bandits. So, I decided to take over this castle and take it back from the bandits. It took me quite a while to defeat the chief bandit. He was bloody powerful, and I had to keep refreshing from the doorway and starting again with different weapons and different spells and stuff, which is great, just exploring different ways I could take him out. But then after about 10 goes at that, and I finally beat him, I went outside and my horse was nowhere to be seen. So I have no idea where it's gone. I have no idea how to get it back, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, one of the things about Skyrim is that it's really easy to become reliant on the autosave, because it happens all the time when you're inside, but as soon as you're outside, it's like it doesn't happen nearly as often.
Yeah, that's really
yeah, you do have to get used to it. But there's also what I really like about that game is that when you die, the game is so good because you can try a different approach, but it won't necessarily work in the way you think it might, because the game, especially the outside, a lot of what spawns isn't as determined as you might expect. So yeah, it is an incredible game. The Magic Guild quests are really good. If you are interested, the Companions quest, which is one of the main kind of fighter guilds you first meet, is really
I think I'm part of them as well. Is that the one you find when you go to that place with the castle and you have to warn them about the thing that happens?
Yeah, it's called the main lady there is called like Ayla the Huntress. She's got a big tattoo on her face. She's fucking fit. You should do that.
I think so. Is she fitter than Jack? That's the big question. Yeah, I think I've started that one as well, but I'm dead. I'm balls deep in the Magic one now. I'm going to try and see it through because it is really fascinating. Something did annoy me the other day with Skyrim where I kept dying. Oh, that was it. Like I had to go to this place in the mountains to meet this teacher in the Magic Guild storyline. I go up this mountain and then there's loads of wolves. I kill the wolves, but then the ice wolves come along, and the ice wolves are harder to kill, and that's very frustrating. So I had to keep replaying that and replaying that. And each time I went to get to these wolves, there was like 3 guards from the local town who were walking past saying, "Hello, citizen, how are you?" And so I just ignore them and walk past and go to the ice wolf. But for some reason, on this 4th go, which really made me fed up, this 4th go, I went to go towards this checkpoint, where I had to get to. And I thought I'd go fight this ice wolf, and I saw these 3 characters walking towards me, so I just assumed they were, they were just those guards. I'm sprinting past. No, it turns out they're all bandits, and they all turn on me and kill me instantly because it was the chief one. And what's funny is like when they kill you, like they'll make a comment like, "Oh, we must have run away. Oh, where's he gone?" Like your dead body's right in front of you. That is quite funny when it does that. But no, I'm really digging it. It looks great. It's just so addictive to play. I'm loving how deep it is and so many different things you can create and make with spells and magic and swords and armor, and all the characters are great. There's more than just 3 voices than what there was in Oblivion, which is always nice. But yeah, I'm keen to try and see. I don't know how far I'll be able to get because I'm not a very high level. I'm level 8 at the moment, so I'm assuming it will get to a point where it's going to be really hard to get past a bit in that storyline. But at the moment, I'm enjoying it. Exploring the caves is fun. Those the Nords make me bloody jump every time because like you're walking through this creepy cave and then suddenly you'll hear like they're growing like, oh shit, where's that coming from? And then they'll be like right behind you, like, oh shit, and you like jump at your skin. But no, I'm loving it. Really, really digging it. And it's justified the whole purchase of the Nintendo Switch for me. It's what I was wanting from my Switch experience, and I can't wait to play more. And I can't wait to play more games like it in future. Just something about those Elder Scroll games, like a lot of these RPGs when they're big open worlds don't really draw me in, but something about Elder Scrolls really has got me. Same with Oblivion. That really got me as well.
Yeah, what I think is really good about Skyrim is that they learn a lot of lessons from Oblivion. I think you can see criticisms in in Oblivion were eradicated or altered a lot in Skyrim. Can I talk very briefly? Another game I've been playing this week, which is on iOS. It costs £1.99. It's called Desert Golfing, and this is a golf game in a infinitely, well, I don't think it is infinite actually. I think there is an end, but in a desert where you're playing on sand, and you have to. It's like a physics game where you flick the ball and you have to get it to land in a hole. But what is really good about this game, and there's a huge community online. Well, I don't know if they're huge, but there's a big community online dedicated to this game because it's not like a normal golf game where you can reset your score. Your score just continuously goes up and up and up and up. And so it's all about well, I guess it's about trying to get to the end. But I just think it's really interesting because you turn on the game and straight away it launches. There's no menu. There's no settings. You're just in the desert hitting the ball into the hole. And when you get it, you go to the next hole, and you go to the next hole, and you go to the next hole, and it's all sand. So there's some kind of physics play there of the sand absorbs the shock of a ball better than grass or tarmac would. So yeah, it's a really interesting game, and I think it's it's very good because it's very passive. And I like that there is a score element to it, but it doesn't actually mean anything so far. Yeah, it's just a really interesting experience. So, and it's been out years, so most people will have maybe heard of it. But it's called Desert Golfing. It's £1.99. And yeah, so it's a very empty world, but the holes continuously get more and more challenging. So yeah, it's worth checking out.
I like me a good golf game, but I swear you can get the same experience for free on iOS.
Yeah, maybe, but I like to support developers. You should try it, Colin. Shall we do?
Well, I've just been playing another game I want to quickly mention. Very, 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 very briefly. iOS, Hogwarts Mystery. I'm continuing to play it, really into it, as you know. I'm in year 2. I'm in at the moment, about 3/4 of the way through. The storyline is really interesting now. Bill Weasley is in the game, which is cool. And there's actually loads of side quests now that open up, so you don't have to do the main storyline. So you can do things with Hagrid, Madame Pomfrey, and the hospital wing. So it's a lot deeper now than what it was initially. So yeah, really digging that. Still the same issue with your energy running out pretty quick, but as I've said before, I'm fine with waiting for it to, because normally you've got about 4 or 5 hours to complete each mission anyway, and it takes 4 minutes for 1 bar of energy to come back. So you can normally pretty much do each mission. It doesn't really stop you doing that. But yeah, liking Hogwarts Mystery still. What shall we talk about? What is there?
I want to do the Switch news last. I want us to round off this stuff at the top because, Colin, there's some quite interesting PlayStation news this week, which I know you're going to talk about Vita in a second, but very briefly, because it'd be, even though we're a handheld podcast, it is worth mentioning. This is coming from a person called Takashi Mochizuki, who is a tech reporter for the Wall Street Journal, who was interviewing PlayStation chief Kodera. And Kodera has said that apparently PlayStation 4 is entering final phase of its life cycle, which could have negative impact to the unit, but recurring revenue via membership services, etc., it should cushion some of that. So obviously, lots of websites are picking this up as, is the PlayStation 4 going to end this year? And that sort of shit.
Is the PS5 coming?
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, it's obviously the PS5 is coming, but my take on these comments were, it's starting to fade down. But I still think we won't see PS5 until holiday 2020. I don't think it's going to be holiday next year. 2020 seems early as well, maybe even 2021.
It's just strange though. We waited so long for this current generation, the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4 and all that. It feels like we had the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 for a very long time. It just feels like this one hasn't lasted very long, but then you think about it.
It's been over 5 years.
I know, that is insane. I can't believe it's been 5 years. I still remember when they did the initial conference at E3 and Microsoft stood up and had all those rules on not being able to share the games and having to be online all the time, and they had to backtrack on it all.
Actually, hang on. Sorry, it's going to be 5 years this year. 5 years.
That is insane. That is. I mean, I just still think it's too soon, but then it's 5 years. It is a long time. I think there was quite a lot discussed in that interview from what I read. If it's the final phase of its life cycle, that could mean anything between the end of this year or next few years. But then it's all down to Sony as to when they announce. No, they think it's time. They're probably working on the successor to the PlayStation for as we speak, and they're probably happening for a while. Be interesting to see what Microsoft think about this as well. Whether they think the Xbox One is heading towards the end of its life, because obviously we had the we got Scorpio and we got the Xbox One S, all those new iterations that came out recently-ish. So yeah, interesting to keep an eye on that. But interesting comments from him, and he also mentioned the PlayStation Vita about that. He mentioned something along the lines of how they need to rethink their strategy. But he was also talking about the PS4 in the same sentence, so he might have not been talking about the Vita. But then I'm sure Sony has been looking at the success of the Nintendo Switch, so it would be also interesting to see if the handheld gaming market is something they will look at in future, or whether they'll incorporate something into the PlayStation 5 and do something similar to Nintendo with the you can play at home on the TV or you can take it on the go. But then they are already sort of doing that with mobile, using their mobile Xperia phones to do that. So yeah, we wait and see. Interesting comments though. Very interesting comments.
Yeah, what's the PS? There's news on these PS Vita physical cartridges.
Yeah, well, we mentioned this last week how Sony announced that they're going to stop production of the Vita cartridges, and this was in Europe and North America. But we did mention that there was in the article and in the news story that came out, there was no mention of Japan. Obviously, the PlayStation Vita is still very strong over there. Sales are very high. It's always been a good market for them. But it's been confirmed that Sony isn't going to stop making PlayStation Vita cartridges in Japan. In fact, they said they're going to be producing them indefinitely, which is very interesting. This is an interview with GameSpark, a Sony representative. Doesn't say who it was, but they spoke to GameSpark, and the actual line, it was in Japanese, but this is what it is translated into English. Production in Japan for the PlayStation Vita card continues. Japan has continued to bring excitement and a wide range of title lineup to the user for everyone in the marketing activities of the continuation plan at the moment. Makes perfect sense, clear as mud. But what we take from that is that cartridges are still going to be made for the PlayStation Vita in Japan. And as far as we're aware, indefinitely at the moment. They haven't set any time as to when it's going to stop, which isn't a surprise. And we shouldn't be surprised by this because, as I've said, the Vita is still very popular over in Asia. So yes, interesting. But we're not getting them over here anymore. But I mean, most people, if they've got a Vita and they're buying games, they're doing it on the store and they're buying it digitally. Anyway, I also want to very quickly mention Pokemon Go. If we can, if you got time.
Yeah, I actually played some Pokemon Go on a weekend.
What the fuck? Why? How? So you downloaded it again and deleted it again in the space of a day?
I haven't deleted it yet, but I will. I played the because it was Charmander Day.
Yes. Oh, can I just quickly say, I was amazed. I was walking through my local town centre on Saturday. It was a sunny day. It was busy. There were so many groups of people playing Pokemon Go for the community day. So many. There was dads and sons. There was families. There was groups of friends. So many people out on their phone playing Pokemon Go to catch the Charmanders. It was really great to see, and it shows how strong the community still is for Pokemon Go. People say, all the mainstream media, mainstream gamers will say, "Oh, Pokemon Go died ages ago. It lasted about 2 minutes," but no, it's still got a really strong community. And not gonna lie, I didn't really take part in the community event this time. I caught a few Charmanders, but yeah, I sort of was busy and couldn't. But I've seen a lot of I think it was grey or green Charizards I've seen around.
It's black, isn't it? Or
like
dark purple. Yeah,
I've seen a few different colors, purple. I've seen a few different colors, but I'm assuming that was all spurned from the community day as well. But yeah, that was really cool, and it's really nice to see people playing it, and families and kids and their parents. It's just great to see, lovely to see. But new Pokemon's coming to Pokemon Go. Woo! Woo-hoo! This is good. It's not really new Pokemon. It's just different forms of Pokemon. So, Alolan forms of Pokemon, which are originally discovered in the Kanto region, are coming. I think there's 15 in total. Is it 13, 12? Something like that. It's not many, though. A handful of new Pokemon. And on the article or the press release from the Pokemon Go website, PokemonGoLive.com, there is a cheeky little image here of the Pokemon, but they're all silhouetted out. The most interesting one, and I am aware of this Pokemon, is the Executor one, which just looks so stupid. It's Executor.
Executor, yeah. He's
with the long neck.
It's like a palm tree version, isn't it?
That is stupid. There's a version of Raichu there, looks like. There's a version of Meowth and Diglett and things like that. So, I mean, I'm always up for new Pokemon coming into the game. But they haven't released all the Pokemon from the Kanto region yet. So it's interesting. I think there's still about, maybe about 10 or so Pokemon from that region that haven't been released into the game yet. So it's interesting that they're already moving on to a different form of the same Pokemon, which is an odd move. But I'm sure they've got their reasons for it. But as I said, I'm always happy for new Pokemon to come to the game. And yeah, so I'm glad that you're playing it. What was it? Just the community day that made you?
Yeah, it's just because I just fancied it because like you say, community day, and just thought it'd be nice reason to get out of the house, and it was nice weather on Saturday.
Oh, very nice, very nice. I'm still digging Pokemon Go. I'm still loving it. Still the same as everyone. I pick it. I pretty much play it every single day as I'm walking to work, take over some gyms, go home, go to bed.
Yeah, I do. I think I know. I always get annoyed about it because of how much battery it uses. But I do think a part of that, I do think my phone is maybe due an upgrade as well.
Yeah, probably. That's probably all it is, to be honest.
Very quickly, before we move on to the main Switch news, I wanted to push on everyone a video which is actually being published by IGN, but it's really cool because basically it's Nintendo Labo, which came out last month.
Oh yes,
and features a keyboard mechanic where you can build your own keyboard and play it using the controllers. Well, Game of Thrones composer Ramin Djawadi, who made music for Game of Thrones and a bunch of other stuff, has done a video with IGN where he plays the Game of Thrones theme on a Nintendo Labo keyboard, and it's genuinely quite impressive how good it sounds. So I mean, it's a couple of minutes. So I just thought it's worth mentioning because it's definitely worth a watch. It's interesting, like the hype seems to have died down very quickly about Labo, and my friend, I didn't buy any. Yeah, my friends who bought it said that the best thing was building, and actually playing with it wasn't that good. So it's kind of nice to watch a video where someone gets the most out of playing it.
I've seen is that it's fun to make it, but then after that you're sort of stuck with these random items, and you play a bit and you get bored because the games aren't particularly interesting.
Yeah,
and you're stuck with these bits of cardboard and you spend a lot of money on them. But I guess you can recycle them, so that's good. It's good. Strange idea. I thought in the right place, but yeah, a bit strange. Oh, it's probably important for us to mention. Sorry, just going back to the Pokemon Go stuff. Niantic have already announced details of the June Community Day, which will be the 6th one. It's going to be the Rock-type Pokemon Larvitar that's going to be featuring. That's on Saturday, the June 6th. I'm actually excited for this because I really want to get my Tyranitar. That's what I want to get. So Saturday, June the 16th, this will be happening. Same as before, it's going to be in the space of 3 hours. The Larvitar will appear in much greater numbers. I think you get more XP. You get extra XP and things like that. So if you evolve your Pokemon to get a Tyranitar during that period of 3 hours, it learns a rare attack. They haven't actually announced details of the attack yet, but I'm sure it'll be really cool. So I'm definitely going to be looking out for this one because that is a Pokemon I really, really need, and it's missing from my Pokedex at the moment. So that's Saturday, June the 16th for that one. So yeah, look out for that. It's going to be very exciting. Very, very cool.
Can I just say, Colin?
What?
I'm really keen on the community days.
They are.
It's such a good idea, isn't it? It's such a great idea. I don't know how it took them so long to come up with it, but it is a really good move.
It's better than doing a Pokemon Go Fest, in my opinion. Like making people pay for that. Just do loads of these community days. It works as well. People actually have, you didn't have Pokemon Go. You deleted it, but you downloaded it again just to get your Charizard. Did you actually manage to get the Charizard on Saturday?
No, I got some Charmanders, but I didn't get Charizard.
Well, that's all right then. Bit of a fail then. Cool. Right, let's move on. So let's talk about some Nintendo Switch news. Looking at the stories that we're going to be covering today, what's this about Salty Shores in Rocket League? I like a bit of Rocket League, but what's Salty Shores all about?
So Salty Shores is the new summer update coming to Rocket League. It's called Salty Shores because there's going to be a new beach map.
Oh, nice.
I mean, Rocket League are so good at doing their, releasing their content and bringing things out for people. On the 29th of May, this launches for free, and it's going to add the map Salty Shores all year round to the rotation of maps that you can get on Rocket League. There's also going to be various summertime accessories and downloads and things like that to come. So Salty Shores looks like a really interesting map anyway. And it's just, I just think they're so good at supporting this game. And, they managed to really make a success out of something that could have been like a bit of a came and went indie title by just continuously giving great kind of thought out content and updates for it. So there's going to be a new car, which is called the Twinzer, I think it's called. There's also a new competitive season 8, a Beach Blast summer event, new items, like you said, including a surfboard and a pineapple. And more stuff to come. The summer event is going to run June 11th to July the 2nd, but the actual update comes out May the 29th. So we'll embed the trailer so you can watch it. Really keen for this. I'm
keen for anything Rocket League. I like the beach levels. That's really cool.
And it just brings people back in. It's like the community days, isn't it? As soon as it's an update, people are like, I'm going to give that a try.
Yeah, it's got longevity, Rocket League, hasn't it? It's all good.
Definitely.
What else you got for me?
So this is quite an interesting story. Initially, I was just going to talk about the trailer, but there's more. So Resident Evil 7 cloud version has been announced for Japan on the Switch. And this is listed on the Japanese eShop. And this is a version of Resident Evil 7 that you play on your Switch via streaming. So the download is 45 megabytes, then a key, which will cost you 2,000 yen and last 180 days. There is a trailer on YouTube, which we've embedded on here as handheld.wordpress.com. If you want to watch it, it's incredibly disliked. 958 likes versus 2.5k dislikes, which is quite interesting. If I'm honest, I can't quite place why. I guess because people, I don't know. I suppose because people on their Switch want to be able to play things on the go, whereas this isn't always, you have to be online for this. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm just a little bit surprised about why people aren't why people aren't keen for it. But I suppose it's because maybe they want actual Resident Evil 7 rather than just like a rental. And $20 is, gets you 180 days. Should be enough time, 6 months enough time to finish the game. But also, like, if people want to own it, I don't know. It's a funny one, isn't it?
Strange idea.
What do you think about this?
So you don't actually own the game, just renting it. Is that what the whole thing with this is?
So you rent access to play it online at $20 for 180 days, which, to be fair, is a pretty good rate. But people I think are pretty grumpy because it's not a fully fledged release.
Yeah, that's a strange decision. I wonder why they've done that. Very odd. Yes, I'm a bit confused by all of that. It doesn't seem to make much sense. You think they just bring the full game out, and then you buy that, and then you're done. But Biohazard Resident Evil cloud version. Yeah, cloud version. That's stupid. Yeah, not keen, not down on that. I can see why there's the dislikes there. Mosso Kami.
I don't know. We'll see. Akami is coming. Well, it's coming to Switch. Is a physical version in Japan and a digital version everywhere. And on Twitter, they announced that it's going to be coming the Friday before my birthday, Colin, August the 9th, this game comes out. So, I mean, have you ever played Akami?
No. Oh, is this the one with the wolf?
Yeah, Akami, you play as the wolf god Amaterasu, which actually came up a couple of weeks ago when on Twitter we asked what people's favorite gaming dogs were. It's a really beautiful game set in Japan. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye. It's very Zelda-like with these kind of dungeons that you have to traverse and fight your way through. And, there's lots of touchscreen painting and combat. But there's also quite a deep sim element to it as well, where you invest in businesses. There's lots of kind of commerce and money handling, which is an unexpected element of the game for a lot of people. And it's also one of those games where you play up to a point and you beat a boss and you think that's going to be the end of the game, and actually that's maybe a third of it. It's really surprisingly large. So yeah, August the 9th this comes out. Very, very keen for this.
Yeah, I confess I don't know much about it, so that's very interesting that there's a whole commerce and money and businesses and things.
There's a lot to it, and there's also there's a lot of focus on you do your attacks by painting. You can do basic attacks as well, but most of it comes from painting and doing different moves like that, and that adds a whole new element because back when you've unlocked new abilities, sort of Metroidvania style, and be able to paint it into these amazing things. So yeah, it's worth checking out.
Very cool. Nice. Yeah, looks very cool. Right, shall we move on to group chat?
Yeah, what's happening?
So, group chat, the question, well, let's explain to the new listeners. Group chat is a feature we have every week where we put a topic out to the masses. We give you a week to prepare your answer. And then at the end of that week, you have to report back to the class with what you think the correct answer is. So, last week's question was, what is your favorite PlayStation Vita memory? And this came off the back of the announcement that cartridges were going to be they're going to stop making cartridges for the European and North American market. Obviously, we've spoken today that they're continuing to do it in Japan. So, favorite Vita memory. So, there's no question about this. My favorite PlayStation Vita memory has to be that time we played Minecraft. That was such a fun time because it really showed off what the Vita could do. It looked fantastic. Obviously, Minecraft isn't very technically challenging for a device to play, but it ran really well. It looked great. I know we had some issues connecting to a game, which was a bit annoying, but once we did, it was very fun exploring the world. Though I didn't do very well and kept dying and fell down a hole and burnt to death, and you picked up all my stuff. It was still fun whilst we did it. We did it once, then that's like the only time we ever did it. We made the land, or I think Heroes of Handheld land or something. And
yeah, we played I think we played like 2 or 3 times, but the main time was when we were on it for hours building that tower that got destroyed by a creeper.
Yeah, that was it. And then I died from a creeper, didn't I? And you were fine. Like the blast, I protected you for you to survive.
Maybe. Yeah, you might have taken the bullet for me. Thanks, mate.
Probably, yeah. I mean, there's loads of other games I've enjoyed playing, but just that moment, being able to play such a small device online with you in Minecraft was just a fantastic experience and just highlighted what the Vita could do. Sad. What was your favorite PlayStation Vita memory?
Yeah, I've been thinking quite hard about this, and I think I'm split. The 2 that I want to go for are, I think, the first time on Tearaway where you use the back pad to poke your finger through the level. I remember that happening and just being like, whoa, that was such a good idea. And I mean, obviously, I realized for a lot of people, the back pads were quite a controversial element of the PlayStation Vita's design. But for me, like that, it was just such a weird novelty that it just really stood out. And the other one that I'll tell you, and then Colin will read out what we had on Twitter. For me, and again, controversial, but being able to play the Telltale Walking Dead's on there, because I put off playing The Walking Dead for ages and ages and ages. And then when they came to Vita, it was just a really kind of overwhelming experience because I thought, oh yeah, I'll give this, like an hour or 2. And I swear I sat and played 3 episodes in a row, just like going through because it looks so good on the screen. You could play it all on touch screen, which is like a really simple way of playing that game. Oh yeah, I love that. So I think those ones.
Yeah, I liked playing The Walking Dead on PlayStation Vita, but then when they released season 3, you couldn't use your saves, which sort of made the whole process of playing it on PlayStation Vita utterly pointless, which really annoyed me. And there was a lot of backlash about that. But the Telltale games they did bring out were good. And The Wolf Among Us was on there as well, which if you haven't played is really worth getting because it's fantastic. One of the best Telltale games. Have we had any news on when the second one's coming out?
Second what?
Wolf Among Us.
Yeah, I don't think we've got any news. Maybe something at E3.
Hopefully, yes, we've gone a bit quiet on that recently, but I'll be well up for that. So we had some responses to the question when we put the call out on Twitter. We had a response from @Mr. AI's Vita, and he put his favorite memory was booting up the Vita for the first time. And then he puts a happy emoji.
Wow. Yeah, it's true. That screen looked so good, didn't it?
It was so bright.
When it made that little like twinkly noise.
Yeah, and when you pull back the little wallpaper thing and you see all the bubbles. I always like the experience of turning on an app, or not an app, turning on a gaming device or a new bit of tech for the first time. That feeling like, oh, new and shiny. It's all very exciting. So yeah, I completely see where he's coming from. A good friend, Ethel the Frog, said, seeing an Uncharted game on a handheld, it looked amazing on that OLED screen. Made me proud to be a Vita owner. Now, I will agree that having Uncharted on Vita was fantastic, and it looked great. But the actual game itself, the story and the gameplay elements, not so great.
You hate that bit where you had to hold it up to a bright light.
What the hell is that about? I mean, there's so many things like that. We had to like turn the Vita, the bloody turn the pot around. You had to like where he's walking across like a balance to not move it or something. Like whoa, they were just trying to. Obviously, Sony had probably told them to do it, but they were trying to force down all the features of the Vita because of the launch title, and it was a bit annoying because he didn't need to. It could have stood up on its own. But yeah, I mean, it looked great. It ran well. Just story and some of the mechanics in it were a bit questionable. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. And Roberto has said, as a PlayStation Vita owner, it's a set in the back, but now play. Wait, is this answering the question, or is he just talking about PlayStation Vita? I think this guy's talking about. Maybe it's about the cartridge. Let's read it anyway, because we like responses. Thank you, Roberto. He said, as a PlayStation Vita owner, it's a setback. But now Play Asia and the rest of the Asian markets might spike in demand for localizations and imports. This console is tenacious.
So it's true.
It is.
And people do still, the Vita has got a very hardcore audience, and they are very constantly very passionate about the game.
This
the games
is not the greatest console in the world. No, this is just a tribute. That's how tenacious it is. Right. So that's your lot, I think, for this week. What was we going to do for next week's group chat?
All right, Colin. All right. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I want to get hyped. I want to hypothesize. I want to know what you think Mario Kart Mobile is going to be like. I want people's expectations. I want people's dreams. I want to get a sense of what the tension and what the expectation is for this game.
Good shout. So if people want to let us know their thoughts on that, at Handheld Podcast on Twitter, Heroes of Handheld at gmail.com, heroesofhandheld.wordpress.com, and fill in the contact us section. We're on social media, Facebook, Google+, wherever there's social media. Just Google Heroes of Handheld and you will find us. We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher. You can leave us a review. We're all over the damn place. And we don't say this enough. Big shout out to the Schnauzer Radio Orchestra for our theme song. We've been using it since the very beginning. We don't shout them out as much as we should. And the music is fantastic. It's music from a 50s video game if you want to check it out on iTunes. And the song that we use is Insert Coin, which is the opening track, which is a great song. I think that's your lot.
Yeah, I think it is. Colin, it's been a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Enjoy playing more Crawl this week. Well, I guess you won't be because you won't be with Rob. Enjoy playing whatever you're playing. Your desert golf game, which you could have got for free. I'll enjoy playing Skyrim. And I will speak to you, and all you lovely listeners will speak to you next week. Bye. Oh, Jigs.
Bye. Can I go to bed?
You've had that JRPG thumbs up.